Good evening and welcome to the Town of Belgrade Planning Board meeting of December 19th, 2024. It is 6:03 and we're gonna start with a call to order with a roll call. This evening we have Mrs. Payne Morel and Mr. Richard Baker and Mr. Nick Sakaro, Mr. George Seal, Mr. Craig Alexander, and Hans Rasmussen is our CEO, and myself, Sarah Lange. In the audience, I will invite the people in the audience to introduce themselves.
Leo Barnett.
All right,
Beth Callahan,
thank you.
Kimberly Downs.
All right, thank you so very much. So, the order of business goes with new business. We're gonna have a review of, findings of facts for, the application, for, the Stephen Farm.
They could make it this evening,
Okay,
so we might want to put that later.
all right, we'll do that. So, item A in the agenda is gonna be, tabled out. The applicant couldn't make it this evening. We will proceed with, item B in the agenda. And this application from Leo Barnett. Location is 51 Peckerell Lane, map 36, lot 6. It's the purpose of shoreline zone, and it is for the construction of a garage, which is 28 by 90. Added to agenda, we should include that, we also have present Mr.
I'm sorry, that's a typo on the agenda.
Hmm,
The actual size of the garage slash home building is what you're calling it, is 36 by 70. That's on the application.
I noticed that, but.
Application is correct.
Okay, 36 by 70, correction noted. Right, it's not 28 by 90, it is 36 by 70. So, added to, for the people, the person who's gonna be doing the minutes, please know that Mr. Peter Sargent is with us tonight as well. All right, so with that said, in regards with the application for Mr. Bartlett, I open the floor for discussion. And, maybe we'll have, Mr. Bartlett do some comments on it if you want to. You would like to, say something about the application?
If I need to.
Okay, you don't have to. Usually, people, when they come in, just to give you an idea what kind of comments we receive from the applicant, they, give a little background about themselves, how long they have been in Belgrade. They talk a little about the property and the purpose of the, application that they're doing, you know, a little backdrop on it. A lot of candid, conversation into that. But the application is very straightforward. I will take that for sure. It's easy. So you don't really have to, mention anything if you don't want to.
Well, I'm a lifetime resident Belgrade. I own this property on Purple Lane. And I want to construct a house. Attached garage. Structure is gonna be out of shoreline zone, so. I think it should be pretty straightforward.
Right?
But you said out of the shoreline zone, you're not planning on doing anything to the house on the shore side of the lake, the lake side of the. I'm wondering why we have the application.
Because it's a shoreline zone lot, it's non-conforming, it's only got 120 feet of waterfront. So big enough.
If it's outside the shoreline zone, the only thing I can envision that we would have the application for, even if it's outside the shoreline zone, would be the if the driveway or something that might be from the road
Right.
to the
Yeah,
two
'cause the
fifty, but
building-
once it gets beyond 250.
Well,
The
the
front of the
septic,
building is 265 feet according to this.
the septic field will be within the 250 feet. I didn't know how to handle it, because the land use table says non-conforming lot goes to planning board, so here we are. It is non-conforming lot, it is one lot, has a right of way through it, so it's 2 parcels. Everything will be on the second parcel, but the septic field will be within the shoreline zone area.
I was,
Process it as you wish.
I particularly myself was confused by the map. Because when you locate this in the Google Maps, Pickle Lane, road, lane, it's only one, and then I see in the map a Y. So, well, maybe it's closer to the Foster Road, and it's not 51, at least, maybe the GPS throw me in the wrong direction. But, because Foster Lane starts and then it divides, it does go in a Y, and Foster Lane goes to the left, and the Pickle Lane, goes to the right and keeps going. Pickerel Lane goes to the right, keep going. Then when we see the picture of the Pickerel Lane, I see a Y on it, but Foster Lane is over this way. So I was kind of confused on that myself. I didn't follow it.
It's pretty flat lot, where it wants to. I'm not so sure if the driveway's already in place over there, isn't it? Or
Yes.
you're gonna redo the driveway,
They'll improve it a little.
you're gonna improve it, but there's already gravel in place.
So. With regard to the septic system. That's exclusively your decision. So. That's off the table as far as we're concerned, as long as, there's one that's approved or approvable. So that in itself doesn't drive the application having to come before the planning board in itself. Where in the table of land uses is it?
It's on page 25. You talking about septic system?
The septic system I found, I'm trying to find the, oh, no. No, structures accessory allowed uses on a non-conforming lot, conforming lot. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
I guess I'm of the opinion that if the driveway's already there as an existing structure person, that, this proposed structure is 265 feet. In other words, 15 feet outside of the shoreline zone. It just doesn't fall under the shoreline zoning ordinance.
That's my opinion.
And it falls under minimum lot size, but it doesn't fall under the ordinance that we
You need a
administer.
building permit, I guess is, but not under the shoreline zoning ordinance.
Right, that would be my thought.
Right, I was just stuck on, it is a shoreline zone lot,
Yeah, no, I understand.
because of the lot, that's the way that, and I want to make sure I covered all the bases.
Yeah, but if taking to the extreme, if somebody had a lot that went from Great Pond all the way out to, in this case, we'll say and maybe this lot does, I think, goes all the way up to the, not the Point Road, but Horse Point Road. Say that's back 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Yeah, I don't think we can say he needs a shoreline zoning permit because the front end, 250 feet of the lot is zoned. I think once, my opinion is, once you get 250 feet back from the lake, this ordinance doesn't apply at all.
But I think Hans's point, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that, this is, the total acreage is 1.1 acres. So, you have two non-conforming lots on either side of a private road. Now, they're combined as far as shoreline zoning is concerned, but, so you have a total of 1.1 acres, but it's still not conforming for
Yeah,
two
I
structures.
understand his point about it being non-conforming, but I think whether it's non-conforming or not.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's not in shoreline. What's being proposed is not in shoreline zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And that's more than-
Alrighty, great,
Hey, you're off the book.
thank you.
Thanks for comments.
Short and sweet, what do I? Good night.
Thank you.
That was quicker than we got along.
So, next item of business is, all business. We're gonna skip the, subdivision checklist for now. And we're gonna go to attorney response to the recommendations for scriptural law zone ordinance change. So I think everybody has a draft on that.
So you'll see that, we've got comments from the town's attorney. They're modest to minor. I mean, the most important thing, he's, okay with the basic language. You know, my personal feeling is that we should adopt the recommended changes. He came up with kind of a nice little solution to the discussion we had last time about, can we define something that's not used in the ordinance in terms of, with regard to the terms bunkhouse and detached bedroom. Using it just as an example under the definition of accessory structure. And he made one other recommendation, and that was that, before we bring this before the select board, we ask DEP to review it early in the process, right now, rather than wait until after, essentially the voters have approved it. And that sounds prudent to me, because we're kind of plowing new ground here. And since DEP and the Attorney General's office, both provided some input, if you will, it would only seem appropriate to send this to Colin Clark at DEP and see if he can review it in a timely manner such that we get it back by our first meeting, which I think is the 2nd of January.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a lot to ask, given the holidays, but he may not be able to do it, in which case we'll just have to forge ahead without it, but
We still have tomorrow.
he'll be lucky if he gets it tomorrow.
So we did get a letter from Shane Fu,
Yes, and we should talk about that, you know.
and that was kind of stating the same concerns that we had. About limiting the size, you know, so now they can't do a garage, even though it's. We discussed that too when we was trying to make this up. So, I mean, how do we feel about that? Because there's already citizens being concerned that this is gonna limit them.
Well, and he even took it a little further. He even argued for why can't I build something that's bigger than my original place?
And that's what we discussed.
Right, yeah. And
We had
so,
discussed
yeah, so, I mean, my take is his basic beef is with the state Supreme Court. With regard to whether it's 75% or 70% or 80%, I mean, that seemed like a good compromise that we came up with. It's, more than 50%, because an argument could be made if it's really subservient, it should be, it shouldn't be more than half of it, but, but I remember it as being a good compromise. I understand where he's coming from, but, I think his basic beef is not with us, it's with the state Supreme Court.
Yeah, but if somebody has the room under the ordinance to build a garage that's the same size as the house,
The house,
I think they should be able to build that, and I think the state's, Supreme Court wouldn't have it, because it doesn't resemble the house if it's just a garage. Like if it's just a 2 or 3 bay garage, it doesn't resemble the primary residence, it may be the same size, but it doesn't resemble it. Now, if you take that same structure and put bedrooms in it and bathrooms, now it starts to resemble the house, but I wouldn't see I don't think the Supreme Court would have an issue if it was the same size, as long as it was a garage.
Well, you recall that in the Jones case, they did have an issue, just, used size as one of the criteria for why they had an issue. And that it was nearly the same size as
In the stiff case,
yeah.
yeah. That's
And,
not,
and that was at 93% floor area of the original structure.
and that was a garage?
Well, it was partially a garage, it wasn't entirely a garage, and that's different from the scenario that you've laid out.
Right, that's what I'm saying, I think a lot of it, bent on, does it resemble the house and how big, big is it, but I think if it doesn't resemble, I don't see why someone couldn't build a garage, it doesn't resemble.
It, I will go further than you, Nick. What you said is completely right. I don't disagree with you, and I guess most of us here, all of us don't disagree with you on that. However, and, other people have read this decision, and they have come forward and said, what's going on here? And in a very unfortunate way, we're kind of handcuffed to be the first one to decide how we're gonna go forward. And because there's two liabilities to the town, us opinionating versus the Supreme Court, our opinion is really down here versus Supreme Court. So, I mean, when we look at all of it and that we got the lawyer involved and use opinions and whatnot, I'm not sure, I wouldn't disagree with you, but I'm not sure how far by saying that, if you only do a garage, you can do the same size. What
I'll
about
go
the next?
back and look, I'll go back and look at the tape when we spoke to the lawyer, but I think I asked the lawyer if it was the same size and it was just a garage. And I'm pretty sure he said, no, that wouldn't be a problem, as far as his interpretation. I think I asked him. I said, as long as it doesn't resemble it, could it be the same size? And I think he said he agreed. He said, yeah, if it was a garage, it would be good.
I just, for the fully record.
I'll go back and look, but
Sure, sure.
I'm pretty
I'm
confident.
not trying to disagree with you, I think that the way we move forward into this thing was to be very conservative, because we don't wanna place the town in a second liability, so.
Oh, no, I agree,
Uh,
I just feel like from my interpretation of even reading that opinion, I don't think they were saying you couldn't build a garage that was the same size. I think they had more emphasis on, does it resemble the primary residence? Whether it be size in combination of rooms, like the case we're talking about, the stiff case, that was like basically another house that resembled the primary.
mhm.
I don't think if it was a garage, they would have it even, the case.
So you're giving back the Supreme Court.
As long as they have the room, if they want to put a detached garage, or why can't you put a detached, as long as you have, we're really living in now people's ability to build what the ordinance says they can build in size.
So, you're using the same, thought process of the Supreme Court that most of us don't like. The and and the or are the same thing. It doesn't matter. So, maybe if we stay with the garage, same size is not a big deal.
Didn't
Yeah.
that one start permitted as a garage,
Yeah,
and then it morphed? And that's where the problem lays is, all right, they can build it as a garage, but what about next year? What about the next owner? Well, and then it becomes this big court case that the town has to finance.
yeah, if we're gonna revisit this at this point in time, and why we came up with the compromise of 75% and voted on, approved that. My perspective, Nick, is a little different than yours. Mine is that to administer this ordinance on a consistent basis from permit application to permit application, it makes it easier for us and future boards to know what is truly subservient structure. And by having a clear size limit based on floor area, as the court used, gives us a tool to do that with. I mean, clearly a structure that's 3/4 the size is still fairly sizable, but yet, clearly subservient. And so it's just a matter of, making the ordinance easier to administer and implement consistently from one applicant to the next, and not have boards, whether it's us in 12 months from now or another group of people, in 24 months, wandering all over the landscape with this definition. And opening the town up to potentially liability. That was where I was coming from.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where I'm coming from as well. I just, I'm gonna go back and see what the attorney said. I wasn't here tonight. You guys voted on the 75%. I think I was at the meeting, but, I don't know. I just have an issue with someone not being able to build strictly a garage. Like, if the language said something along the lines of, excluding just garages, but, then Hines says further down the line, that they change it, but I mean, this is what they're proposing, what we're approving. I just feel like I'll check with the attorney.
Now, the only thing, Nick, with this whole thing is that we are on a timetable.
Mm.
So we are pressed towards the end. We need to forward this to the, planning board, select board by the first meeting in January, which is gonna be on the 6th, I think, Tuesday the 6th. So, this is our last meeting before the January 2nd meeting. And so if we were to introduce a change, then we will have to, send it out to the lawyer and we vote it, and I would say that will take another 2 meetings doing that.
But
And I don't wanna dismiss the concern, but I don't know
because
how we can handle it better than that.
we've already pushed through trying to get to deadlines, and then after the fact, I kind of regretted it. So the deadline doesn't really mean that much to me.
Do you mean we're
The
gonna
comprehensive plan is gonna come into vote in June. There's no reason why this can't come into vote in June as well. Try to make it, push it, and not be thorough. Just to make the town meeting, doesn't make sense to me.
we'll notice?
And not a big rush it through, get it done for this date. Because then you're rushing it through, and when people rush, I don't like subcontractors that come onto my job and rush. It drives me nuts.
I don't like Russians either.
I'd rather pay them to do a thorough job.
Mhm.
And we're in the same position,
Actually,
we're not getting
I take
paid.
issue with that. We've been working on this all fall. We are clearly on their timeline, but we have not rushed this. We've spent, I don't know how many meetings discussing it. And if people want to take more time, fine, but don't ask me to do any friggin' work on it.
So when it says do not duplicate, functions of the principal use or structure. Could you, if it was less than 75% or less, could it have the same amount of bedrooms? As the principal structure?
Oh, no, because of the other language in that definition.
Where it says does not duplicate
Right,
functions.
yeah.
Well, I mean, even having one bedroom is duplicating a function, right? I mean, you have a bedroom.
But not in its entirety, yeah. mean, that was also, you know, what the town attorney, a point he was trying to get across to us, so. I mean, I had a hard time getting it myself initially, but.
You couldn't duplicate what was in the original structure. Well, so if they had 2 bedrooms, you could, we talked about it, we could have one in.
Right.
If they had.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that, I agree with all that. My only concern is like a garage, you know, that like. Because if somebody buys a home and their home is under, you know, the maximum size.
Mhm.
Once they buy that lot, they can never fully use, unless they attach to the principal structure, they can never have a detached accessory dwelling unit. You know, that would meet ordinances forever until now.
And if they attach it, you're restricted by how much you can.
Well, no, if it's attached, then you can, you know, build it to the max.
I thought you
Cause it's all considered one structure.
were, okay.
You could build it 1,500 square
Yeah.
feet if you're back.
Right, so
So-
if you're back 75, you attached it, you know.
I thought it was an
Yeah,
exception.
to be honest with you. I don't, you know, first off, any structure, garage or otherwise, is still gonna have to, if it's in the shoreline zone, still can't exceed the 20% unvegetated surface area, so. On many, if not most lots in Belgrade, a garage of the kind of size we're talking about, 1,500 square foot garage. Is not gonna happen now. And to be honest with you, I just don't see a seasonal home. Or even a year-round home that's in the shoreline zone, I don't see where people have a God-given right to a garage. I just don't. Not in that location. I mean, what a lot of people do is that particularly in the newer subdivisions, they'll have the garage on the lot that they bought across the street outside the shoreline zone.
The other thing is that I know my garage at home, I think is 24 by 28. And that's 672 square feet. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not sure whether you don't have a God-given right to a garage, but even if somebody said they did, I would argue you don't have a right to I was gonna bring the same point up with,
Leo,
Leo's
Yeah.
thing. If in fact we decided they need a permit, it was like, is that an accessory structure or it's not? Well, it's so big that I'd have a hard time saying it's an accessory structure and that, somebody, 672 square feet is not a large number of square feet. It's certainly more than the majority of, structures we're seeing, especially the ones we're building now in the shoreline zone. I don't really have a problem with limiting the size of the garage to ensure that it's not 5,000 square feet.
Yeah, I think your point's spot on, and the 75% was added to just make that clear.
I hear both sides of the argument. And, again, I just, in a big picture of things, this concern comes at the day end after, working on this for quite a while. It's not a bad concern. Not a-
Yeah, no,
I understand your view and I would feel very quick that over half of the town that should listen to us and say, oh my God, Nick is right. But again, considering the terms of what we were given from the Supreme Court, I think I will have to review my notes and everything else, but maybe I got it wrong, but I think it was both terms, the duplication of the principal structure and also the size was a separate issue. They couldn't be,
Yeah, I mean, I'll concede because I wasn't here the day that we voted, and so you know, it's my fault to not have gone back and read the email. This is the first time that I'm actually reading, you know, we've referenced it multiple times, talking about it, but I thought every time you said the 70%, I thought that, to 75%, I thought it was in conjunction with, does it resemble?
both to the,
It doesn't resemble, and I had asked the attorney, I'm pretty sure I had asked the attorney if a garage the same, and I thought he had said, okay, so that's, this is the first time I'm seeing the language.
The
So,
other-
but-
the other thing
But I
that-
wasn't here, so I can see
I
because,
understand, but the other thing that you are bringing forward, at least the way I see it, is that, well, let's say we put this in March as it is. We put it in March for the voters, and the voters said, no, we'll turn it down.
Hmm.
So we lose our time anyways.
Yeah.
You understand, that, I think as I'm, trying to reflect on how things can turn on in these possible futures. Well, maybe we're already, trying to follow the Supreme Court decision and trying to stay with it. We put this forward as the best, solution for the town. And then I say the town voted down. So then, and basically maybe because exactly of what Shane is bringing in and you're bringing in. And then, so then from there, we will have to restart again. And, I think what will happen, I'm thinking this out loud, and this is sounding myself, is that if that would happen, then half of the board would say, okay, we're done. We're not gonna pitch into it anymore, because I don't dare to go with the 100% for the garage.
yeah, well, the problem is our hands are being forced by the Supreme Court.
So we
We
will,
have to do something.
we will still have the division that we have now here, is we have been working very hard on this, and we're not gonna be agreeing. So then when we go in that starting mode, either now or March, so how we proceed to find a common ground. I'm not sure if the thing will be to send a quick question to the lawyer tomorrow morning about it. I'm not sure. When we have gone in this kind of thought before, if we ever had, what was the forward, action to, send a quick question to a lawyer tomorrow morning about it, and about this, concern, and so we can see if we can wiggle it in before March, or even when we have to discuss it through March and then do this in June. I mean, we're just trying to do the best thing for the town all around. So. But, that can happen. It can happen that we keep it as it is, we freeze it as it is, because we really think it's the most prudent way to go forward, but then, I'm sure, people in town are gonna come around and say, no, we don't want this. Because I cannot use my land the way I want it, and if I want a full garage, I
Let me
can.
ask you this,
Sure.
we limited to 75%, and we denied, somebody that came in and wanted to build, just say a garage. Could they take us to court and say, well, the ordinance, I have this much, land, this much space I can build, and I don't think it's right that you limited me to 75%.
So
That
my feeling that, and I see, I'm not a
Because
lawyer.
we have an ordinance that like directly contradicts this new one.
Okay, so if let's say we freeze this, we pass it, it's done in March, it's passed, and somebody else comes in April with a new application, and they want a garage just like, Mr. Chapu. And they say, well, I don't like the fact that you guys are overspending the law, that's what the ordinance says, we're covered by the ordinance, as long as the town passes. So they're only, as Mr. Shields said from the beginning, their only recourse, their beef will be with the Supreme Court. So they will have to, we have been predicting, this board have been predicting, that this whole thing is gonna go back to the court.
Yeah, it's just tough to have an ordinance that contradicts another ordinance.
Yeah, but this ordinance is following by the Supreme Court saying,
Yeah.
we're trying to do the best with that. And as a group of citizens that are volunteers in this thing, we're trying to conform to what they supposedly said, that we all agree that it's completely ridiculous.
Mhm.
But it is what it, for now, it is what it is. So let's say, if one, Belleville resident had the spine to say, I don't like what we have in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Well, they have to take it to the Supreme Court. They have to take it, it's not our beef, we're just trying to comply right now with what the court says.
Well,
And
that's kind of defeating the purpose of doing this, if they have to bring it to the Supreme Court, because then it's gonna cost the town again to go. all the
it's
way-
not gonna cost us nothing, I don't think so.
We're always at that risk, though, that's the
Right.
problem, you know, the,
What,
well,
why?
I do think this limits that risk, but, you know, there's nothing to say that, you know, an applicant, wouldn't, appeal our decision based, say this became ordinance, and, you know, came in with a structure that was at 100% the same size as the, primary camp or house. And, you know, it could very well be held up based on the ordinance at the appeals board, just like the Jones Tip one was. Our decision was, at the Superior Court and then go to the Supreme Court. The only difference is, that, you know, now the ordinance is consistent with the Supreme Court's precedent-setting decision, and so they would lose at the Supreme Court, but
But isn't
Greg's
it?
right, it would still cost the town money to defend itself, and we can't.
I don't even think it's possible to be consistent with that rule.
I-
You know, like literally, I don't even think it's possible to
I
be
know.
consistent with that ruling. That's how crazy that ruling is.
I-
Well, I don't disagree that it is a confusing and in some cases illogical decision that,
Yeah, oh, for sure.
but, you know, the fact of the matter is, once they make a decision like that, it becomes, case law.
Yeah, I just like to have a back door where, you know, an applicant says, look, I own this land, this is how much I can have. You know, I wanna add a detached, accessory dwelling. And we could say you can't do this, but if you could build a garage, if you wanna build a garage that size. And then you're still in compliance with our original ordinance. And they can't really say anything. You can't duplicate the house, or it has to be smaller. But we're not limiting, their rights to a piece of property that they bought, that our ordinance says you can have X amount
Yeah.
of space.
I mean, to build on what I was saying earlier, you know, we could make a decision, whether it's in this provision or some other provision in the ordinance. That, and a butter doesn't like, even though it's fully in compliance with the ordinance, is consistent with chapter 1000 DEPs. Guidelines, and they could still appeal, and if they have, big bucks, they can, go to the appeals board, go to the Superior Court, and go to the Supreme Court if they, got the bucks for, the attorneys. I don't know enough about the state Supreme Court, to what extent they are fussy about what cases they choose to take and which ones they just say, whatever the lower court decided.
Yeah.
But
Can. You should have had first, Mr. Baker.
Oh.
That's okay.
Go first.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Quick question, aren't we allowing the court to make law instead of legislature? And where do these codes come from? Do they come from the legislature or the DEP? Or environmental agencies?
Mr. Baker, you're the right person to answer that.
But one thing I say, in the legislature or whatever, or towns. Planning or townspeople make the ordinance and the rules. But it's in a way, the Supreme Court is the final rulemaker, if you will, and interpreting what is constitutional and what, how the ordinance is to be interpreted or whatever. It's kind of like they're not the rulemaking body, but they're the rule. Almost like the rule enforcement, they're not enforcing. George might have a better way of saying it, but,
Well, I see it as they're the rule breaking authority because they clearly, the decision said that removing the kitchen alone does not make it accessory. And the shoreline zone, chapter 1000 says no cooking. You know, cooking is a criterion. And the court threw that criteria out, and that's where you're duplicating functions is key, is in the kitchen. I mean, what if they made the first house seasonal and the second house year round? You're not duplicating completely, but what if there's two kitchens?
I was gonna ask that, trying that.
So I mean, the court really threw out chapter 1000,
When he defines use, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask,
and
what if
that's,
it's
I
just
was
season?
hoping
That's
that
not duplicating.
Colin and DEP would come up with a solution for the state.
But
This
how do
isn't a
you,
Belgrade problem, it's a state problem.
because when he was talking about duplicating use, I was gonna ask him, what if the accessory structure is just seasonal? And it's only used, 8 weeks out of the year. That's not duplicating the primary residence if they live there year round.
Yeah.
Is that a difference in use?
Exactly, and does that mean there can be two kitchens?
And then how do you, enforce whether or not someone's staying there year round or seasonal, so.
Mhm. So we got a tangled web.
So I would suggest then, Nick, can you put in writing all this concern? The concerns about, the alternative route that what we have fabricated so far is good with the or, okay? That is the.
I mean, you
the
can vote,
applicant-
if you wanna vote, I'll recuse myself, because I wasn't here the day that,
Well, this is already voted, this is already, ready to go, but
oh,
after the fact, the Chapu, resident of the town have put a.
what I'll do is I'll watch that meeting again. And if I'm wrong and he didn't say yes to that, then I have no.
Well, regardless of what he said or not, now the crack is open. And we're here for the public. And Mr. Chapu have brought this forward. Because you guys are contractors, you guys know the practical part of things out there. And your reasoning is a very valid reasoning.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's,
So, and
just.
put that in writing and also add the part that we just talked about, the question about if they're seasonal or year round, it's two separate uses, how that affect the whole thing. Those are valid concerns. So maybe you put that all in writing and we send it to the lawyer right off. We can get,
Yeah, I mean, I can put that.
he can even put it, said exactly what statement we can add it to this.
Yeah.
So we can make it work. I don't know how quick that's gonna happen now. I don't know here in Puerto Rico from December 15 all the way to the 30th, nothing happens. So I don't know if the lawyer will be in town or in vacation or not, but it will be worth it. I will feel it will be worth it if you put it in writing. I send it, kick it out to me and I'll forward to Lorna and see where we go from there. But I think the concerns are valid. But again, we're ready, this is marching very.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate all the work that, especially George puts in and you guys. I'm not trying to delay anything or throw a wrench in anything. It's 100% my fault, but I wasn't here that day that they voted on.
It wouldn't matter because, Chapu just put this on the last week or so, and it was gonna come forward anyways. So whether it was gonna be here or between February and March meeting, or after that, it was gonna come around.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that actually is happening now, myself.
There's not gonna be a public hearing on this for in the process and then.
Yeah, there'll have to be two of them, because it is shoreline zoning.
So the concerns are valid.
Yeah,
The- the-
And if we get a lot of concerns, then we need to rethink it,
This is probably the way the process goes.
because we are stepping on people's rights.
Mhm.
Because in one section of the ordinance, it says that they have so many square feet, there's so many 20% in vegetation. If they have a tiny camp,
Yeah, I mean, if they're within 25 feet,
You
they
know,
wanna build.
if they have a
it's
tiny shed.
shed, but no, you can't build a shed.
now you can't even put a place that you put your boat in.
Yeah.
And another part of the ordinance is a boathouse isn't dependent on the water. So if someone has a boathouse wiped out and they have a small camp, and we make them say that, you can't rebuild your boathouse in the water, you gotta do it on land. And then we have 75%. So then they're out of everything.
So I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, Fred, but if you put all these scenarios in writing, that's gonna help us. And we can, we can, follow that, to the lawyer, see what he said. Maybe it's just a matter of adding one little string here, and it will be all
The thing
solved.
is I really appreciate like trying to word this and put something in black and white, so it's extremely clear. But I also feel like at the end of that whole conversation with the attorney, he basically said, really, it's just up to you guys. It's a call, case by
I
case.
didn't hear that, but that's okay.
And, it, like in the scenario that he just said, if we don't have something in black and white, and something like that was to happen, we could approve it. Cause it would still be in compliance with the ordinance, if we don't put a new ordinance in. And that would be right, and nobody would be mad about that. But then if somebody came forward and was trying to build a house that's very similar to the house, we just deny it, we say we're sorry because of the Supreme Court ruling. Maybe an ordinance that says we can cite, the Supreme Court ruling and, we have, the right to deny an application,
I really,
fear of litigation or something like that.
Alright.
But at least we keep it open. It's just, I hate to put something in black and white that permanently limits someone's rights, especially if it's warranted. And there are gonna be certain situations, I feel like, though they're gonna be very rare, where it would be warranted for someone to be, like, cause if you're within 25 feet, you're talking about a small little structure, if you have enough space to build.
Sure. I agree with Nick, and his, sort of reiteration of what the attorneys said, ultimately, it's up to us. I don't think it's fair to dump our disagreements on the attorney. I mean, the fact that whatever consensus we had about this is falling apart today, is, our problem, not his. And is, as frustrated as I am that we're at where we're at, and then we're going, it seems like we're going backwards. That's not his problem. That's our problem to solve.
so that said, what I hear very much is the fact that with the present ordinance, we have certain rights, and then by moving to this black and white, well, what get us, I would say that will get this town in problem from the get-go, was not having a black and white definition.
I just don't feel like you can put anything in black and white with the way that decision reads, that Supreme Court. I don't think you can get it right. I think
So
you're
that-
either gonna be limiting someone's rights, people's rights, or, they're
I
gonna
wouldn't
be.
disagree with you, Nick, but then we cannot, I don't feel comfortable passing any application. So matter of fact, if we don't have this in place coming
Well,
up.
I think we have a good grasp of what what they don't want. I think we can, make a judgment of clearly, this is a problem. If we approve this is a problem. I think there's obvious cases where it's a problem, and if somehow we have the right to deny that,
But in order to exert, a decision, Nick, we need a rule, and have to be black and white.
but is there a possibility to put a rule that we can deny any application if we cite, the Supreme Court ruling? under the Supreme Court rulings, we have the, option in best interest of the town to deny this application. Or send it back to them to revise and change.
So Nick, getting back to my earlier argument that I was hoping we could have something that was clear enough that would lead to consistent decision-making regardless of which,
Yeah.
group of us is at the particular meeting that say somebody comes in with a 1,500 square foot garage. What my understanding, based on everything we've worked on and what we heard from both our attorney, from the Attorney General's office. See, I would view the 1,500 foot garage as not being an accessory structure and not allowed. I would vote against that because it's too big and too large a structure. It wouldn't be subservient. So, we've had those kinds of disagreements rolling or continuing on.
They would be bigger than well, depending on how far back, but.
Yeah, I'm just arguing, all I'm saying is.
I think
It
1,500 foot garage.
isn't, without more clarification,
Yeah.
it isn't clear to me
Yeah.
personally. What the hell of an accessory structure is.
Yeah, me either. Same as me, so that's why it's like,
So
are we
we,
limiting people when we shouldn't, when we don't have to?
but
That's my
this is the point, Nick, if we don't know the rule, we don't know what is the real rule, we're trying to establish a rule.
Yeah.
If we don't have a rule, we cannot pass applications.
Yeah.
And myself, if we don't have a rule on this, I'm out of this board. Particularly, I don't feel comfortable making decisions on applications that we don't have a black and white rule. It's, as it is, we just passed one application recently. But it was completely away from the threshold, the strong threshold that the Supreme Court decision was doing. So, I'm really conscious about doing things right and, sticking to the rules. And right now, we have a big French zone that we don't exactly know what is, if we get in there, what is the rule that we're gonna use? And this is what we're trying to do here.
Well, I guess if they wanted to use maximize, they could just attach it to their house. I guess this only pertains to accessory structures. So you could tell the applicant, if you wanna maximize,
Yeah, but you get a 24 by 24 camp. Out next to the lake,
yeah,
and you get all this land behind you. Up to 260 feet. 260 feet, 200 and something feet. I mean, that's 480, what's 24 by 24? So. Oh, boy. It's just a tough call, so.
yeah.
This is good dialogue, because what we're trying to understand is
I
by,
just wish there was wording, that's 576
Well-
square feet times 75%. So you'd have like a 20 by 24 garage. Allowed.
I mean, that's the discussion we had last time, that somebody could still have a reasonable sized garage, but maybe not 1,500 square feet, but.
It's just a tough call, I hate stepping on them. Especially where there's other ordinance stating that you're allowed to do it. And this one case. Is taking all that stuff away from people,
Yeah, but unfortunately it happens.
and that's why I'm on the board, is to stand up for the rights of the
Yeah.
people in the town, taxpayers. And that's exactly why I'm on this board, come here every time. And. Because the rights of the taxpayers and people in the town get stepped on all the time. There's more and more rules, taking more and more rights away. It's a constant barrage, ever since I've been on this board, it's a constant barrage. Of
And once,
more
and
rules,
once it's gone, it never comes, you never get it back.
I do.
It never comes back.
with that, when we're at this point where we have a hammer from the top, nails down, so what?
Yeah, I have.
We'll go from
here.
I hear you.
I flip that upside down
I,
as well.
yeah,
So I have to tie it without, with the Supreme Court ruling.
well, this is the thing, this is like playing basketball now. We just have to keep playing and, just plant the feet down and then follow us, and then we can go back into it.
I
So,
don't have too much power.
I know, it's
Well, all the
sad.
power's supposed to be on the local level. Then
It's
and then
supposed
the
to
Fed,
be.
Yeah. And they flipped it upside down.
Supposed to be in the legislature, right? My estimation.
Right.
Mr. Baker wants to say something here.
Oh, two thoughts I had was, Craig talked about more rules and stuff, and it's kind of like, it's a two-pronged thing. There's people who argue got more and more rules, and then there's the argument of we need to protect our lakes. And it seems that, you maybe would have both, but it's gonna take a little clashing of the too many rules versus we need more rules to protect the lakes. And, I guess the other thought I had was, I don't think anybody's arguing that this rule that we're talking about right now, the changes or modifications are unconstitutional or would, I mean, it could be challenged. But I think the attorney would have said something if he thought 75% was unreasonable, you guys better work out. And so, as far as the number is concerned, people have a problem with the, I know people have a problem with the number, that's what you're talking about, but, you're not arguing that the ordinance would not stand up as much as, it seems like it's I want to say personal, but a issue, opinion that the ordinance should prohibit somebody from building a bigger garage than what they want.
Yeah, I mean, we have an ordinance already.
And Richard, the land use, at 75 feet, you're allowed 1,000. 100 feet, you're allowed 1,500. And it's always been when you get past 200 feet, you can do what you want. And now we're saying you can't. And that's the loss right there.
Yeah, because once you're beyond 100 feet, I mean,
You build a 3,000 foot house if you want. And now we're saying no.
and once you're by 100 feet, the quality, destroying the lakes is, pretty minimum once you're beyond 100 feet. You should be able to mitigate anything that a new structure would do to a lake,
So, I just happen to think about this. I'm trying to find a consensus here with the board that we all feel comfortable with. How about, this is gonna come back, Craig, one way or the other, this is gonna come back to be discussed, whether we go to the adding the or of a standard garage. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna make the garage the same, we're gonna allow that, same garage, same size of the house, and then they're gonna add the stuff, just like what happened with the steps. So then that will come in my mind, I'm trying to play futures here. That would place this town in the position of, well, we told you that this situation couldn't happen again, and you allow it by doing this that way. So my proposal to the board to make sure that we can support each other to moving forward is maybe to stick with this. I want you to write down your concerns, put it in writing, same with Craig. Those scenarios you talk about, putting in writing, we will send them, we will get them here. I know Mr. Shields said that maybe that's not to be sent to a lawyer, but maybe because the lawyer is the one that was there fighting this out, we say, well, these are the concerns, what you think about it to a lawyer, and have the lawyer work on that. Well, we still move with this. And I will tell you, I know a lot of people that watch this video of us, especially talking about this whole thing. this will go to the voters in March. And there's not gonna be any more loud word from this town if this is turned down. Because the turn down will be exactly for what you two are saying. And that in itself, the voting down will go to the paper and will be news in the state. And the Supreme Court is gonna hear about that. So, that's gonna put us in a no man's law, zone, not to have a real rule, but, that can happen, as well as can happen that they will pass it.
I mean, the crazy thing about this stiff case is it was upheld by the appeal. It was
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah,
It
right.
was upheld by the Superior Court.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, everybody agreed that this was.
I know, I
Except
hear
for,
you, I hear you. But
you know what I
I
mean?
mean, we talk about this here in this town.
So if
and-
this was okay by everybody,
Oh,
then
yeah.
anything we approved would have been okay by everybody except for this, So it's like, we're capitulating to,
So,
something that was fringe, their opinion is fringe.
so the word of a full township saying, we don't want this. We don't like what, that's telling the Supreme Court, we don't,
Yeah, I mean.
the whole township don't like what you said
Yeah.
over there in the bench.
Look, I
I
have
don't
no
know how
problem with the people of of this town, if they approve it, then they approve it, and that's basically.
But if they don't,
Oh, yeah,
then,
then they don't, but if if we put something in writing and they approve it, well, then that's what the people want it, and I got no problem with that. So it's supposed to work.
honestly, right.
I know that you, all of us, way advanced on this than I am, so I assume that you've already thought of this, but 75% of the floor area seems to be the biggest hurdle. Can we enlarge that to get closer to 100% so that everybody's happy?
Well,
And not have to go through all this?
Well, that
We're
garage
not
was,
doing anything.
well, I mean, again,
Still
it would be
limited.
the case if somebody has a small cottage, might be just a one bedroom. And they wanna build something bigger,
100 feet back.
100 feet back, that was always the goal line is get behind 100 feet. And Stiff did, and they built a big thing and it basically shadowed the house. I mean, some people wanna do that, and I guess the key is, well, the original structure becomes the accessory.
Mm.
But do you really wanna lose your kitchen and your little cottage that was quaint? I mean, like George said last meeting, why do we restrict the 2 residential dwelling units? Why is the rule there? Because you don't wanna have 5 houses on a small lot. They're trying to keep it quaint, keep it from being overbuilt. I mean, go visit New Jersey if you wanna see overbuilt.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
don't think
Nick.
anyone's overbuilding anything, I'm definitely in favor of overbuilding, but. Yeah, I mean, I put it to the town, let the people decide, I got no problem with that, I don't.
but still, so, Nick, I would like your concerns, please put it in writing as best you can. And I will do the same thing I will plead with you, Craig, to do that. And then we can, I can, please summarize them to send them an item list to the lawyer. Send it to
I
him.
can't just have George put my finger.
You could try.
It'll get twisted. George.
George will put Corey, I mean, Craig and I's opinion down, right? He's good at-
We can, I can find out to make sure that,
Yeah, no, I don't wanna hold anything up, I agree that this is, pressing, the most pressing issue that we have, and we gotta get it resolved. Because we have, applications to approve, and we don't wanna put the town at risk.
so just for the time being, will you guys be comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Craig,
Hey, I'll give you,
Already voted for it.
I'll give you, I'll do this. You put the draft together, I think we'll work on it.
I'll just have chat to you.
Huh?
oh, ChatGPT.
No, I'm gonna read this again, I'm gonna watch the video of the interview, when we had him on the meeting, see what he said, and maybe I'm way out,
I don't think you're way out of nothing. You're in the right track. but that,
I walked away from that. My personal takeaway, I walked away with him saying, it's up to you. At the end of the day, it's up to you. It's your judgment call on an individual basis. That was,
I heard that two different people, so I'm out, I'm toppled out of that one. I was very excited about that meeting with him because he make it sound so easy. That if the primary structure has 3 bathrooms, oh, one for the next one, for the accessory structure. If the primary structure
but
has
the
5,
problem is, if
five
you
bedrooms.
deny somebody's application, you have to have something written to, to be able to reference of why we're denying your application.
Jordan,
Yeah, we can't just deny people's applications.
That's right.
You know,
so the rule
So we
is what?
need something to be able to reference.
So the rule is, revamping the rule with this is what that's gonna make us happen, we have a rule. So we have a rule now that is not good to the Supreme Court, so we have to do something about that, so they're gonna have a new rule, okay?
Like, I would be perfectly fine if it said, I mean, I don't know but as long as it's not you can maximize as long as you don't duplicate the primary structure. And then define that, like, pretty much like how you did.
I hear you,
My whole concern is just like a garage or something. And my takeaway, that's not what they were talking
so
about.
that maybe can be part of the new rule, but I need the lawyer to tell us that, because he was the one that
Okay.
fought this
Yeah,
all the way
I'll-
along.
All right, I'm good. I'll put that right in.
You're good?
Right under, yeah.
All right, so in the meantime, we're staying with this one, while we work on this separate
Yeah.
extra line.
And again, like I said, if it goes in front of the town and the town votes for it, then that's it.
I think if we stay with this and the lawyers always back out from supporting you, I'm not sure how he's gonna go about that. If he does that, maybe Mr. Seals is right on it, he will say, oh, no, that's up to you guys, so he kicked the ball back to us. Maybe we will send it to you, maybe we will just get this to March and see what happens, but, there's many alternative futures here, and I think the best one for this town will be actually to keep this and have the town vote it down, and then the Supreme Court's gonna have to do something about it. I mean, I don't know how that works legally, but, it will be a big word to the whole state of Maine.
But the problem with that is most ordinances go right through, because you don't really understand what the ruling for, you're gonna have to do some education.
But Georgia, can we deny an application if we don't have an ordinance to reference?
You have to have a reason.
Yeah, you have to have a reason.
Yeah, you have to have a reason and,
Do you need
and
hard
it's,
numbers?
and our interpretation of whatever the words are in the ordinance has to be consistent from application to application, because then we open up ourselves and the town to.
Right, what I'm asking is, do you need like numbers, hard numbers? Or could you put something in there referencing the stiff case? Like, we deny this application based upon the Supreme Court ruling of the stiff case? Or do you need numbers to say this happened, this, could you reference an opinion and?
Oh, that, I don't think so,
Yeah.
but, you don't necessarily have to have a number though. Numbers just make it, your decisions
Right,
more
I agree,
consistent
yeah, I agree.
and easier to make. I mean, that's why the ordinance is loaded with numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, the existing definition that we have in the ordinance of accessory structure is, not that different from what's here. And that's what got us in trouble. Minus the 75%. Or whatever the number, people feel comfortable with is, I mean, I never understood that definition. It was so vague and, I didn't know what it meant. And I'm still not sure I know what it means.
It is a fuzzy definition.
Yeah, and then to make matters worse, principal structure is based on it. A principal structure is what's not an accessory structure, so you get a twofer kicks in the can for getting that definition wrong.
Those same definitions
Same
have
thing.
been in the ordinance in shoreline zoning since the inception of the program. It's never been changed. It's kind of like, oh, it's working, it works, but that's not anything that has been amended
Yeah,
since 1970 something.
I mean, I don't wanna throw another monkey wrench in the works here, but, you know, there's a reality that we need to come to grips with. If we don't have consensus here amongst the board, the select board are gonna send us right back to the drawing table. They've done that in the past, they did it in the subdivision ordinance.
Yeah, it's not unanimous.
And because, you know, from their perspective, it makes sense. If you guys can't get your shit together, why, you know, what are you coming to us for? And so Pete, not to put you on the hot seat here, but I'd be interested what perspective you have on this, because, you know, if we don't have consensus, you know, we might as well go back to the drawing board, I guess.
Well, I wasn't here for the 75%, decision you guys made. And, I think you're trying to draft law here. And so, the way I look at it is, it's a litigation problem, not a planning board's problem. We should send this off to the, select board. Select board make a decision what they wanna do. If they wanna send it back, they can send it back. But send it there and see what's gonna happen. Alright. I'm not ready to make a decision. The only thing that I do have to point out that, you know, you can, there's a 20% rule within 250 feet. So, what's, you know, if you wanna, you should be able to be able to use that 20% if you got the room. You might have a lot, if it's a flat type of a piece of property, you should be able to max it out to 20% building. I don't see why you put limitations on it. That's, you gotta take into consideration. If it's a steep slope in the back, it's a lot of walking and all that, well, you might have a problem. If you got enough money, you can put a building up on a steep ledge. If it's more than 30%, well, but now you get into a different part of the shoreline zone. But if it's less than 30%, you can put up a building there within the height restrictions and all that stuff.
I mean, the issue with the Jones application was that
What
they,
are we talking about Jones for?
because that's the court case. Stiff,
We're talking about
stiff,
Stiff.
yeah, but Stiff,
Stiff and Jones, same case.
same case, yeah,
Both
Stiff,
parties.
Stiff appealed our decision to approve Jones's application. It was down in Sandy Cove.
Wait a minute, slow down. We're talking about Stiff.
Right,
Stiff and Jones. is the
Stiff brought the
same thing.
case, Stiff brought the case against.
yeah, they were the
town.
abutter.
Jones was the project that was approved.
Oh, Stiff brought the case,
Yeah.
Jones is the property, I remember that Jones
Yeah.
property, right? And you guys approved of it, all right? I wasn't around.
Yeah, we approved it, but
Yeah.
we put a condition on it that it could not have a kitchen to prevent it from becoming a second dwelling unit and therefore requiring 80,000 square feet in the shoreline zone, which they didn't have.
Okay, all right, so that happened. And so, and I understand that Jones there he did something different. He broke the law.
Mhm.
All right, so.
Oh, you put a kitchen in?
You put a kitchen, yeah?
All right, he broke the law. So anyway, so then so goes to court, goes to litigation, gets up to the Supreme Court level and Supreme Court comes back with a case law that we're talking about now, and applies to that particular one now. Now, the question is, this case law gonna apply the rest of the property within shoreline zone, you know, within our town? I don't know. That's why I get lawyers. Why are we sitting here making a law? That's the problem I have. We already have a law. follow.
Well,
I'm trying to keep it simple.
We tried to, but the code said otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, then it goes through litigation,
So that,
then it goes through litigation.
The thing is, it went all the way up as far as it could go with litigation.
If it comes back, it'll go back, it come back to the town, our town, let the selectmen figure it out. I'm not getting paid to, play lawyer, and you aren't either, so keep that in mind.
well, that's why we involved the town's attorney as much as we did, and
Well,
in
that-
addition to, that, we had advice from the state attorney general's office. I mean, a lot more advice than ever.
They could be wrong, so they can go through litigation again.
Well, like you just said, we're not our lawyers, so let's not play them.
So, I'm not gonna make, I'm gonna go the way we've been doing, that's all.
But this is the thing, Peter,
What?
if we keep doing it the way we're doing it, we're using a rule that the Supreme Court doesn't like.
Take it to court.
Well, then we're wasting taxpayers' money defending the town.
Oh, take the select people to court. The selectmen have to get more involved in it.
That whole thing to me will be kicking down the can.
Pardon me? what?
Just,
The way it works.
just saying it's kicking down the, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I think they have a very distinctive role, but, for us to, bring to them a recommended ordinance changes that we can't even agree on amongst ourselves is irresponsible in my mind.
Well, that's life, as they say, happens a lot of situations.
So that means we get no pass any application, because we don't have a rule.
We'll get the selectmen and more involved.
Well,
They can-
we can review, and we'll have to review applications that come before us, regardless of what timeline this is on. Just like we already have. And, and try to be as consistent as we can with the court decision, because we have to comply with that. It's not it doesn't matter whether we like it or not, it's something we have to do. Just like if the legislature passed a law and we didn't like it, we'd still have to comply with it. We can grouse about it, but we still have to do it.
No.
I mean, they can't take that away from us, but it's just a question of, will we, be consistent in our decision making and, or as consistent as we could be, in compliance with that. Because then if we're not making decisions in compliance with the Supreme Court decision, then we really open the town up to legal liability, because then at that point, somebody appeals and it won't even go past the appeals board, because the appeals board recall, they have the town attorney there advising them as they make decisions, as you well know, Pete, because you were on the appeals board. And he would advise them, send it back to the planning board, they screwed up. And so we wouldn't even, our decisions wouldn't even make it that far. But I'm not comfortable sending something to the board of, select board that we can't get 5 people to agree on.
Or it's just hard to summarize.
Sorry, I turned a short meeting into a long night.
Yeah, so, I will say that what I hear is
But you were
that
gonna vote on this to send this to select board, or it's already?
it's already voted on.
Oh, okay. So we're just discussing.
We took the chance to go to a lawyer first, because we didn't want to send to the select board something that the lawyer was not comfortable with.
Okay.
Right, so, but, of course, we have, citizens that are very concerned about this whole thing, and that they voice their concern, that's what we're here for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was already voted on,
Well, except that Craig doesn't seem to support this now. Peter doesn't seem to support it. You weren't here, but, You obviously have.
I thought we were gonna
reservations.
be voting on, again, I apologize, I thought we were gonna,
And
when, every time they you referenced it, I thought it was being drafted and then we were gonna vote on it. I was not aware that it was already voted on the night I wasn't here.
Yeah,
That's, you kept saying like, we agreed. I was thinking you were talking about like a discussion. And, you know, so again, that's my fault. So, you know, I at the end of the day, I can live with it. If the town, if it gets sent to the select board and they move it on to a vote and the people of the town of Belgrade approve it, then, you know, that's the way it's supposed to work anyway. So I'd be comfortable with it if the people approve it.
Problem is when something goes to vote like that, people, there's a
Yeah,
lot of people out there think, oh, it's another rule, it's gonna be good. They don't realize they're losing rights, and they don't realize.
no, trust me.
So at least my experience with that, with the L 2003, this town asked a lot of questions. I don't know if they asked you guys, but they asked to me. And I tried to explain it the best I could. As part of us, so to speak, with one voice, if we could, educate the town as they asked us. And be consistent in what we're telling them. So again, and this is not only known in our town, people from Rome talk to me all the time, I said, what is that step what's that Supreme Court decision, what is it, where are we going with all this? We don't know, just like you don't understand it, we don't understand it either. So we're trying to do the best out of all the lines that we have, all the lemons that we got, making lemonade as we
Yeah.
can. And so this is, I think, what we have in front of us is the best that we can put together. Of course, we have additional questions. And I'm trying to offer a olive branch to it. So what we have for now is this. And we put this in writing together. And we funnel it and send it to a lawyer, even when I am already hearing that's not a lawyer's job, but we don't know, we're not lawyers ourselves, we don't know, so I think.
I think we can come to an agreement amongst ourselves, without, the attorney's done a ton of work on this himself. And I think he'll be the first one to admit that he doesn't understand.
He's in,
Yeah, I think
we're
he's gonna be like,
completely,
whatever you
this
guys
is not New Frontier completely, okay? But,
I just, obviously, we have to do something because we're putting the town at risk for further litigation if we don't get something put together. And we
Yeah.
can't deny applications unless we have something put together, so.
so here's the Supreme Court, here's the ruling that we have, we're trying to get in between them and then, Supreme Court ruling that we have, we're trying to put a second ruling in between that's getting closer to what the Supreme Court wants, but still trying to keep what we have originally. This is the best kind of consensus that we have had before. There's gonna be more new questions about it. That doesn't mean that the ruling that we have now, eventually we cannot change it. So I'm
The other
sure,
thing, you kind of can take this as a really rare case, and it was approved, they sided with us all the way up until the very end. And just,
so a good friend of mine that is a lawyer around this area said to me, you watch, what's gonna happen is there's gonna be another case, they're gonna take it all the way to the Supreme
yeah,
Court.
they're gonna sue, people are gonna take court cases.
Yeah,
for-
hopefully not in this town. It's what I'm trying to help us navigate it forward.
So wasn't it suggested,
I'm sorry, Fred.
wasn't it suggested to send this to the DEP?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing
So
that.
let's send it to the DEP, and then we'll get it back, this is a draft, and there's been changes made to it, so we'll have to vote on them again. And, let's see what the changes are, the DEP. And then we'll take it from there. And we'll add in. We'll write down our
Okay,
concerns.
okay. So
And
you good with that?
Our dissenting opinions.
Well, I don't wanna let the dissenting opinions out because they're to me, they're valid.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Seal and Mr. Baker, they think they're valid too. It's just the fact that, we have moved over here this far, and I'm trying to see how we can put both streams together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take the attorney's word for it. He knows his case better than anybody. He's got the best grasp of what they're looking for, what they ruled on. So again, I'm gonna go back and watch that meeting that I had with him, and if I could be completely wrong and he didn't say that, and if he didn't, if he said no to me, then, you know, then I got nothing.
So we have consensus that we're happy with that, Mr. Villa.
Yep.
Moving forward.
Send it to the DEP,
Yeah.
and there's been changes made, so we're gonna have to vote on it all over again. But, keep it in motion.
That's reasonable.
All right, sounds good. Great, we're moving forward. So for now, we're gonna keep this going. What I'm hearing is that we're gonna have a write-up from Mr. Nacaro and one from Mr. Alexander. Send it to me. We're gonna craft something for the lawyer, hopefully going out tomorrow or Monday. And I don't think the lawyer will come back till after Christmas, hopefully before the New Year's. If that, and I hope we have something by the next meeting, we have something in writing from the lawyer. Because this is a very hot item, not only for our town, but for the whole state. So that said, we'll get a plan. Do we need to vote on that, Mr. Field?
Hmm,
Do we need to vote on what we agreed?
I don't think so.
No, there's no bad.
No, not
Okay.
until it's.
Yeah.
Not until all the changes are made.
I made, okay,
We already voted on it. The DEP is just another step that we have to go through, so.
And I mean, Craig, absolutely correct that we need one more vote on this to approve the changes that the attorneys recommend.
And we might as well not vote on it right now, because the DEP could
Right.
recommend some more changes.
all right,
I doubt whether we're gonna get a whole lot of negative comment or whatever from the DEP when you send it, simply because they'll be looking at it as, is this legal? Is this contrary to purposes of the ordinance and stuff like that? I don't think we'll get a lot of suggested input, so to speak, but we may.
Mm,
Well, I think it was actually when, Bill, Saucier met with us. I think it was at that time, that he said that of late, his experience has been, and I think this is with, because he represents other municipalities, that the DEP increasingly doesn't like anything that is contrary to, or different than, not contrary, but different than chapter 1000. Whether he meant by that, something like this, which is more stringent than chapter 1000 is currently, I personally think DEP needs to amend that, but, I don't know, but so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, there's nothing to prevent a town from being more restrictive.
No,
If he
right,
sees it as, oh, this is regular language that can be administered and enforced, it's more restrictive than what we have, it's, yeah, it looks good. That's what I think's gonna happen.
understand.
But anyway,
All right,
so how do you want to make that happen?
Is everybody?
to send it to the VP,
Send it to
if we can agree that, you take that part of it, and I deal with the, breaks and,
Okay, So I'll send it.
cars.
that everybody's agreeable, I'll email this version that has the attorney's markup on it to, Colin.
Fine.
Yeah.
So, and then on the meantime, I'll work with, this other stream of this new
Okay.
suggestion with the lawyer.
Okay.
That works?
Mhm.
Great, we got agreement, I love it. So, so the next item in the agenda, will be the minutes. And we don't have minutes, so we have, all right, so we're gonna table that. And then, I think, tonight, we have Mrs. Morale, suggested that she probably can help with the minutes. At one point, I remember myself making the minutes, well, actually, I didn't remember it, Hans, remind me about it. So, do we have to vote on that if we're gonna have somebody that we have to vote on that? So, we will love your help, Mrs. Morales, you can help us with that. So that'd be great. So we can have probably at least 1 minute for the next meeting to approve. And then the next item on the agenda is, CEO, update.
So we got the, second.
Yeah, we gotta do that. Trying to do that. with everybody.
Excuse me. May I ask one question before you go to the next topic?
Sure.
Is it possible for us to get a copy of the language that the attorney sent back, at least to the chair of the Pat, who's our chair?
Oh, sure.
That way we can just kind of know where we're at as far
Sure.
as to children's zoning. That's great, thank you.
No problem. Now, while we have you on the mic, were you guys here for any other purpose?
No.
Okay,
Well, you're not here for the two,
Your comments on the two,
the two wording suggestions from
Yeah.
Rich on,
Yeah, I didn't see it on the agenda, so I didn't think it was, I don't have copies, I got it on my phone.
well, I have copies here, but, I thought we made a commitment at our last meeting that we would
Well, I
take these
thought
up,
I did too, but
and
I
that's why
didn't.
Rich drafted them,
yeah,
post haste.
so, what, can we slide that on the discussion?
We need to.
Yeah,
copy of it.
so, I'm sorry, CEO update,
I'll go make copies of that.
oh, that'd be great, thank you.
Talk about your findings and facts.
Sarah, you said I can go online and hear that.
I will show you. It's actually very fun. You can move the video any place you want.
Oh, good, so I can get it. Okay. I hope I can hear it. Well,
Oh, you should.
okay.
The limitation of this, they call it the owl because of the way it looks, is that like, for example, it may not pick you up as well as me because I'm right in front of it,
Yeah.
besides the fact that I'm really loud, that minor thing, but, and might have a hard time hearing the folks out in the,
In the background, yeah.
in, you know,
So
among
if
the
I can't
audience.
hear them and I can't, transpose what they've said, is that'll be.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just make it up.
Make it up.
So-
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, before we burden, who's supposed to be doing our minutes?
The clerks, but they're overloaded.
Yeah.
They have
Oh.
way too much on
They-
their plate.
They have a turnover in
doesn't work.
front, yeah. They have turnover in front and,
And what happened to the plan of having somebody, you know, specific for this task that would come out of the, our budget?
the problem is that they don't have manpower in front.
No, I mean, in the past, we've always had someone outside of the front office people doing our minutes.
Well,
That was paid from the planning board's budget.
well, that was part of it, but that got shifted out to have the people in the front doing it, but then it just happened the last 3 months that, the people, the hands in the front shrank. So that's
Well,
why this fall off the table.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there obviously is all kinds of turnover in the town office. I mean, you can see that with all the emails, you know, announcing hiring, but.
So we don't pay Penny,
Thank you.
Yeah,
budget, right? We pay Penny to do it. You wanna do it?
so, will you take money? Do the minutes?
Will you take money? Yeah. What?
I can do it.
Oh.
Pro bono,
Take cash.
no charge.
So can we go through the findings of facts real quick?
Sure.
'Cause I didn't really, I thought it was pretty well done.
I thought he put it in there to go through the new business A. But, I didn't know that we had to review them or go through them.
Well, there were two things that we discussed at the last meeting. One was having something for the subdivision that's before us right here and now. But also we need something for all subdivisions that are coming.
Mm,
And so, we still need something, whether we approve this tonight or in the near future, but, we had agreed that I would circulate this by email, which I did do. The only person I heard anything back from was Hans, and he had a concern with, H on page 3. And the use of the terminology, or how we would measure adverse effect on scenic and natural beauty and aesthetics. And this, like, I mean, obviously that, implies something that's pretty, it's sort of like porn, it's in the eye of the beholder kind of thing. But there, each one of those is tied to a performance standard in the ordinance. And that one is, references, one that's entitled Impact on Natural Beauty, Aesthetics, Historic Sites, Wildlife Habitat, Rare Natural Areas, and Public Access to Shoreline. And then it spells out under that preservation of natural beauty and aesthetics, and there are a number of standards, I'll just read a few of them. Except in areas of the municipality designated as village districts, general development, residential mixed-use districts, the subdivision must be designed to minimize the visibility of buildings from the existing public roads. So there's a number of things like that, as we review an ordinance, we'll make findings about. And that relates into whether we vote yes or no on that one. So it's not as amorphous as it may sound on first blush.
What is, that is an accessory structure.
Not as amorphous as an accessory structure.
Makes this one easy, huh?
So any other changes, Mr. Field?
Well, no, I don't have any, based on, the feedback I've gotten so far, but obviously this is the time to make it.
I don't have any change.
I don't think you would even change it, so. You're suggesting we change it?
No, I'm not. I was just explaining
Yeah.
Hans's comment and how it interrelates with the ordinance itself.
Yeah, could we say here in the H, as discussed in the comprehensive plan, will not have blah, blah, blah.
No, comprehensive plan, we didn't have any. It's not a binding.
Well, with some kind of.
No, I think just leave it the way it is. Didn't mention the comprehensive plan.
Right.
I mean, one thing I should point out, this is something we approve, it doesn't have to go to voters or the select board or anything like that. So if we work through it a couple times, get a little bit of experience and we find, this doesn't really work as well as it should, we can change it.
And to me,
George,
this
do
is
you-
helpful in coming to a decision.
Yeah.
Always do this ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, and it's a legal requirement too.
Huh?
It's a legal requirement of the ordinance too, that we do it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Field,
I think we're checking.
I'm assuming we got the meat of the thing and concluded on page 8. It says page 8 of 9.
I was
We're
gonna
not
say
missing
that.
Oh, you know what? I think, yeah, it does. The problem there was, I think I must have spilled over on another page without any, so I can fix that easy enough.
Well, no big deal. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
think we were missing anything.
no, you're not. And,
Once we get that John Hancock's, Sarah's John Hancock is a wrap.
yeah, that's it.
Once the big dog signs it.
So are we ready for motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I make a motion that we approve, the findings of facts and conclusion of the law for the subdivision final plan approval. Form adoption date is 12/19/24.
I second that.
Excellent. So we're voting. Oh, discussion before voting. Any question about it? I hear none. So, Mrs. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. Surgeon,
Yes.
Mr. Shield,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
and Mr. Rangel is five yes, is five in favor, no opposed. Approved.
So Hans, we approved this, but I have to fix the page numbering on it. It's off by one, so I'll do that and then I'll send it to you.
You,
And, I couldn't
Thank you, Helen.
find my copies of these emails. I know, Richard sent it to my personal, so it's on my phone, but I couldn't print it. Here, it's on my work email.
Thank you.
George, you sent something out too, and I couldn't find that, because you have too many SLT revision emails. Pertaining to basically everything we're working on.
Too much is too much.
So it's all kind of, yeah, I mean, it's.
Right. Versus we have. Right, but we also have that. It's 5 for permit, 1 to take into account. And this is the same, we just need to line for the land, we just need to get right. The copy of the state.
They, this email just separate altogether, it's the same one we have. The,
Yeah, it's, I think it's just
the
separate.
same, yeah, it's just separate by itself,
Two
yeah,
pages.
yeah.
And we can cut it off that.
For the last paragraph. That's good.
Thank you. Okay, are we ready to, dialogue about this? Mr. Shield?
Yes,
Okay.
So how are you gonna bring this to a vote, 2 separate votes?
We can do that, probably that's the best way to do it, so we'll be a clean vote. I thought, yeah. So, should we then, let's start with number 1 first. Number 1 is the one on the, about the, pet permit by rule. So the wording says, will be, the wording that will be added will be landowners receiving a Maine Department of Environmental Protection Act permit by rule or full permit pursuant to the Natural Resources Protection Act for activity in the shoreland zone shall provide a copy of that state issued permit to the code enforcement officer before work begins on the project. So that is the language that we're gonna be placing in the ordinance. Now,
I use the word full permit because that's what they reference. You know, permit by rules are the ones that are simple to get. Send it in, wait 14 days and do your project if you don't hear from DEP, but the full permits and the larger permits, I think Hans would want to know that as much as he would the permit by rule.
or more so.
Yeah.
What's that?
Stipulation today,
Who-
we got PBR and they went to town. Knee deep in mud. and no permit by the town. So this happens every day.
I had a question, is that chapter 1,000 to talk about?
The permit by rule stuff?
No, that whole
Yeah, that's.
permit rule by rule in full, that's under what chapter? What is,
It's not chapter 1,000,
what,
but it's under the Natural Resources Protection Act.
what's the number?
It's that one right
It's mentioned in
On the
section,
right one, on the right, that's the one we're voting on. Right here.
Yeah, but he's looking for, I think, the state's
yeah,
citation of the law.
Yeah.
Uh,
I thought
seems
that,
like it was three,
Well, it's in Title 38, obviously,
Title
but
38.
it's.
title what?
Title
Title
38.
38.
It's
Okay.
referenced in the land use table.
I think if you
section
went
14.
online, Natural Resources Protection Act.
But that's federal, right?
State,
What's, I thought the. It's not the federal, at the federal level, DEP and the state administer the federal rule.
this is exclusively a state law. There's no federal counterpart. Just like there is no federal counterpart to shoreline zoning.
Okay, so and for the state, what I'm getting at, we should probably put in parentheses someplace. Reference the state law. Chapter,
We could, under, on the title, notification of permits issued pursuant to the Natural Resource Protection Act.
Yeah,
We could find the citation.
Yeah, it's just a matter of-
Title 38, section, blah, blah, blah.
It's section 480C. Right,
480C.
yeah, and that is referenced in section 14 of the land use table. At the end, there's a note,
You say 84C
480C.
or 8?
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's why I suggested it be put in the land use table in this section, because this is where that permit is referenced. And this is where people look. I don't know anybody that's looked in section 16 for administration to look for what they're required to do.
So that, what you're looking at then, it will be Title 38, Waters and Navigation, Chapter 3, Protection and Improvement of Waters. So Chapter 1, Environmental Protection Board, Article 5A, Natural Resources Protection Act. And that's the statute 480C prohibitions. Oh, no. So we adding that there then, that statute number? Well, this statute don't talk about, permit by rule. Talks about the Natural Resources Protection Act.
For that, see, there's two types of permits under that state law. And the permit by rule process is the one for minor projects, and there's a full review that takes months for major projects, you know, filling a wetland or something of that nature. In which case DEP needs to check with inland fish and wildlife and get input from the marine, from marine resources, that kind of thing.
and isn't that the one where Corps of Engineers at the federal level gets involved too?
Yeah, there is some overlap, that's right.
There is,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's right. They try to coordinate the permitting.
So, are we adding the, statute number there?
Yeah, right after, Natural Resources Protection Act,
Yeah,
could add. There's a number of ways you properly cited, but 38 MRSA, comma. Section 480C, capital C.
can you repeat that again, Mr. Shield? Yeah, it will be 38 MRSA, comma, section 480C.
MRSA is just short for Maine Revised Statutes Annotated.
That's right. Thank you. So that will go right after Natural Resource Protection Act in parentheses.
That's how you would do it, isn't it, Rich?
So Hans, you raised the question of, making sure it's, people find it. Would, although when people reproduce it, they don't have to keep it in bold. But I was thinking, could we put it in there, section F, and have it be bolded,
Section F under 16.
16? I know you wanted it in the table of land uses, I think.
Or, yeah, and as. Like the first line, right after section 14, table of land use, make a reference to the need of a permit. As an instruction, when you get to that section, 'cause I don't know anybody that's read section 16, y'all just reviewed shoreline zone, did you read section 16?
Well, most people don't read the ordinance, period, so.
Section 16 is administration.
So, Mont, you're suggesting, on
Right.
page 22 at the bottom there somewhere?
Gotcha.
No, on the top, section 14, where it says table of land uses, put it right there, first paragraph.
I mean, we can't really insert it in there because there's no permit required from the town, but.
Not that we're aware of. After review.
Well, no, I meant, yeah, of course, that's the whole purpose, but, so right before where it says table 1, land uses and shoreline zones.
Yeah, I mean, there or right here,
Oh, in the opening paragraph.
opening paragraph. Right after this opening paragraph. You, it needs to be up front.
So I guess what I'm, moving forward, well, we are good on the language and adding that parenthesis. So that's already clear. So what we're trying to discuss now is where we're going to insert it,
Yeah, so it'll be seen and not just lost.
okay? So,
When I put it together, my thought was the logical process of the ordinance itself. It would fit in the permitting section. And it would fit before expiration of permits, because before that, it's got some of the standards and stuff relating to the permitting. So I think from an ordinance perspective, it probably fits better in F, and moving F down to G and further on down the line. I also understand Hans's thing is that stuck in the middle of the ordinance, people may not see it, but I'm also thinking the issue of where does it fit in? So, but I don't have any real problem putting it up further. Where it goes, This is my big concern, there ought to be there. But
Most people read sections 12 and 15, because that's where the rules are. Or the parameters are.
Yeah, so we're just trying to figure out if they need a permit, period.
Makes sense.
And you're suggesting to go in section
I think 14.
14.
If they see what's allowed, you know, if the planning board, CEO, or if they can just do it without a permit. And there's a reference to needing a DEP permit, which is the permit by rule.
So right after
And
that,
I feel like that's where this clause should go, that it can get one of these permits. And that note being at the very end there also gets lost. Because it's a note.
Yeah.
And maybe we should get rid of that note, colon. And say a person performing this has a criteria, you know, they should look at, read it. Put that up front too.
I don't think it hurts to leave that note right there.
Yeah, but it's under all the footnotes, so it's kind of like, yeah, people see footnotes and they're like, oh, this is not important, yeah. They're totally good Washington sort of things.
So we get allowance decided, we're still kind of, tabling around, where that allowance is gonna be.
changing it from 16 to 14.
sounds like
That's what I'm hearing.
16 to 14.
Yeah.
I guess if I were gonna put it anywhere in section 14, I think it'd be probably either before the note or right after the note. But we'd have to make it clear that it's part of the ordinance, not a note. It's kind of like,
I agree, that's why I say take the note and colon out of there and then put it to the front where people are gonna read it first. Knowing that there is a criteria there.
Put the note at the very top of 14.
Take the word note out of it, make it paragraph. Some like the direction.
Well, we do that though, then it's officially part of the ordinance rather than just an
Yeah.
advisory note to people that you may need a state permit if you, as well as the shoreline zoning permit. I mean, I was gonna suggest that we put the new language
Top.
after 33.
after what?
33, the last of the permitting requirements. And before the notes begin. Because as Hans said, people don't read the notes. But then it would still be part of the ordinance, and if people look at this table at all, they'll stumble across that as well. So that would be page 26, right?
So make it 34.
But not make
No,
it
no.
34, but have a paragraph there.
Uh-huh.
You think that would work, Rich?
You put it above the notes, but
Yeah, above the notes and below 33, have it like a little paragraph there that,
we could do that. Mostly because of visibility.
yeah, visibility.
Like I said, if I were writing the ordinance and was not concerned about visibility, I think it fits better back
Yeah,
here.
no,
But-
yeah, no.
But I
we-
do think if we're gonna put it, that's probably okay to put it right there.
Yeah. Point well taken about the kind of construction of the existing ordinance, but. Given the nature of the problem, I think visibility becomes important.
Okay. Do we still wanna keep the title and all that stuff? We just wouldn't have section 16. We would just word it as either that or it's section 14A. Notification of permits issued pursuant to NRPA.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looking at right after the table,
Yeah,
you know, it breaks up.
yeah, that does make sense.
Okay, so I hearing. Hearing.
Now, Richard. This note at the end, would you wanna take that paragraph and put it up with it? Or exclude that, or how's that gonna flow?
I almost think it's better left where it is.
Okay.
We have agreement on location then. So it will be inserted in, oh, I'm looking at the wrong page here, that's why. I heard page 36. 34.
Yeah. 26, right?
26.
26, page 26, right?
Page 26, right above the notes to table.
So page 26.
After 33, in between 33 and the notes to table, in between.
So the table we're talking about is the water quality, categories, no? I'm lost in here. I have the, electronic portion of this thing is not helping me. That's why I cannot find it. Tables allowed use 27. So it will be,
So it would be inserted here as a new 14A
okay,
after the table. After table one here.
table one, all right. Okay, can you vocalize that aloud so the minute people can take it, Mr. Teal?
Me,
Yeah, please. Yeah.
well, do you want a motion?
We can actually do that, right now, because we are in agreement where it's gonna go. Right, so let's go for the motion then.
So I'll make a motion, to approve, new language, to be added to, a new section 14A, following the table one land, uses on page 26, the language of which would would be landowners receiving a Maine Department of Environmental Protection Act permit by rule or full permit pursuant to the Natural Resources Protection Act, in parentheses, Title 38 MRSA, Section 580-C, for activity in shoreline zone shall provide a copy of that state issued permit to the code enforcement officer before work begins on the project.
So 480 times.
So you said 580 is 480.
I said, I meant 480, sorry,
All right.
my mistake.
So I hear a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So Mr. Shields put the motion forward, Mr. Surgeon seconded. Are we having further discussion? I don't see any further discussion, so we're having a vote. Mr. Sakara?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yeah.
Mr. Shields?
Yes,
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
And Mr. Rangel is 5 in favor, none opposed.
So are you gonna redo page 26 and give it to us?
Are we gonna add that Mary to do that? Mary,
It's gonna have to go, this is gonna have to go to, the town meeting.
yeah, so it has to go to the
And
select board
we
first.
didn't change it by doing this.
oh,
All we did was say, I guess it's gotta go to.
Yeah,
selectmen, have Part of the public hearing.
Yeah, that was my mistake, I should have, well, we had to approve it.
Yeah.
But we're not approving it, making it an ordinance.
No,
Yeah, no, that's the next step, Mary's overburdened, I think we need to put this in the right place with the right language ourselves.
Okay, for that.
So that it can be provided to the.
so we will create the article that they're gonna be voting on.
Well, not the article, but that the correct language is in the right place with the right, letter A.
would,
Cause Mary's not gonna do that.
would the best way to do that, I'm thinking in terms of I don't have the ability to go into the town ordinance and kind of get the paperwork of it and then type into it.
Oh,
Is it
Yeah.
something that could simply, and maybe this is less than what you envisioned, but to, type it up, where it goes and.
yeah, I don't think, obviously, you don't need to, that's a problem because, a lot of times, town office can't find the original Word document, and from a PDF, which we have access to online, you can't a lot of times copy and paste, and so you can't reproduce what's already there and then just insert it. At least I've never been able to do that.
And I suggest you put it to Mary, but tell her to coordinate with me. And then she can be on top of it, because if we subvert, if we didn't go around and just, get to
I can type this.
that's.
If it's one page, you need to type it.
And I've got a copy of it in Word that we coordinate with me and Mary, we can get it done.
You and Mary can get it done.
But,
Okay,
but put it to Mary, don't skip her and the chain. Okay, has to be there.
Can I ask, do you have any comments or?
I think we're right and we're happy with it.
No, good.
Work on it.
So, how do I understand? Do I call Mary or you call Mary?
Email her,
Huh?
you can email her
Okay, I'll do that.
and then, copy me, but tell her to coordinate with me. That we have a discussion and I'll do it after. We give you that. But if we take her out of formatting, we don't wanna get her in there.
guess I've been doing it wrong.
So that's done. So we're gonna go to, recommendation number 12.
$12.
Yeah. So, you said, you know me, Mr. Baker, you know me, right? So the language, suggested language for this would be all permits issued pursuant to this ordinance shall cause town notification of abutting landlord. Notice shall include a copy of the approved permit. So that's, the placement will be after section 16D, but under a new section 16E titled Abutter Notification. And then the existing sections E, F, G, H, I will become subsequent ones, F, G, H, I, and J. First off, do we have agreement on the language?
What about, do we have agreement on the concept? Cause I think you've had problems in the past.
Yeah, I don't care how you word it, I'm still voting no.
I didn't know if anybody else felt similarly.
Yeah, I think I do. I think at the end of the day, I'm torn between it, but after thinking about it. I hate to pit neighbors against you. I mean, they can go to the town office and get a copy of it. I don't know.
To invite that to happen for watchdog purposes. It's just not a community that we should be promoting.
I thought on this thing, we have already voted on the concept.
No.
No.
No,
Just-
we're just tabling now the language on it. Okay, so, that said, then. Can we, before voting, then can we work on if the, language is fine and where the location of it is fine, and then we vote?
Vote on it. I need 3.
What page is 16E on?
66.
We added after 16D. Start off.
Section 16E.
We'll be right before expiration of permits.
Done?
Could be.
See, our books aren't the same. Expiration of permits,
Yeah,
okay,
it would go right here
okay.
if we did it.
Mhm.
Where would that be, Rich? Maybe I got it wrong.
It would be,
Mine's page 68.
yeah, page 68, Jordan.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah,
And B is procedure for administering permits and,
that's what you get for listening to me, Penny.
it would go as in E. Let's see, wait on a second.
Right, 16B. No,
No, it'd be 16. It would become 16F. I may have written that wrong in the. Yeah.
so it'd be a new 16F.
F, that would go 16F, and then F would become
G,
G, and G
Yeah.
would whatever down the line.
so the present act is installation of public utility service. Page 70. I might get this one again. What page is that one?
Which one?
16F.
So on page 68, it's called expiration of permit.
I have, page 70, F is installation of public utility service. Maybe this thing is over.
68, page 68. You want 68?
Yeah,
Or you want 70?
don't listen to me.
So I must have an old ordinance. Cause page 60, where I have is D, procedure of administrating permits. But that is F in your ordinance. So F,
F is expiration.
Expiration.
oh, expiration.
You on page 68?
Don't worry about
Your
it.
version must be printed on.
Yeah, right here, yeah, I see it. We're good. So that's the location that we are suggesting to be page 68. And then we'll take the line F, which is now expiration of permit.
That would become G.
That will become G, right? Are we good with that? All right,
Yes.
hands?
Sure.
Okay. So, person F is, application form. All right, so do I hear a motion for this item?
I'll make a motion that we, approve as a new section 16F. Language, that would read, all permits issued pursuant to this ordinance shall cause town notification of abutting landowners. Notice shall include a copy of the approved permit.
And the title of that section will be,
Butter notification.
thank you. Can I entertain a second for that?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Shield and a second from Mr. Surgeon. Any further discussion? I hear none, so we're gonna vote now. Mr. Sakara,
No.
Mr. Surgeon,
Yes.
Mr. Shield,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
No,
and me, Sarah Rangel, is a yes, so it's 3 in favor and 2 opposed. So motion carries.
now again, this has to go to the select board and.
Absolutely.
all that
Yeah.
stuff as Well,
Yeah, so you'll get your bite of the apple there too.
All right. So that said, do we have any other additional items on the discussion? I see none. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
you're all good.
See you on.
Motion to adjourn.
Nobody had a second, or did you second it?
Oh, I'll second
Who
Did someone
put
make
it,
a
who put it in? Who put the motion to adjourn?
No,
it.
I,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I second.
all right, so voting, Mr. Sakara,
Yes.
Mr. Surgeon,
yes.
Mr. Steele,
Yeah.
Mr. Alexander, and Ms. Rangel, yes, 5 in favor, and we adjourn.
Scratch that.